Welcome to week 2 of entrepreneurial marketing. Week 2 will be discussing developing successful marketing and organizational strategies. It's important to note that not only in week 2 will we be discussing developing successful marketing and organizational strategies, this will provide you a lot of help for section 1 of your paper that's due in a couple weeks. In section 1 of your final paper, again, you're choosing a business, whether it's imaginary or real, and try to choose a business that's small business that's either imaginary or one that has no marketing plan to create a marketing plan for. Because if you choose a company like Nike or a big company, I'm going to hold you in accordance to their current marketing plan and grade you accordingly. So it's often much easier to work with an imaginary company or a small business like a family business or a business that you have seen. So the final project in section 1 that's due in a couple weeks, the first section, what's due is your mission statement and description of your company, your strategic plan and focus, as well as your situational analysis. And in this chapter, we'll talk about each 3 of these. So let's get to this chapter and discuss it immediately. So developing successful organization and marketing strategies. Today's organizations come in different types. Organizations usually offer a product or service. Some companies are for-profit organizations that are key to trying to drive revenue to earn money. There's also nonprofit organizations that aren't trying to generate revenue and profit for its stakeholders. In addition, there are government agencies that are organizations or businesses, such as the Ohio Department of Transportation or ODOT. And then there's also industry organizations that represent many different businesses, such as unions and other organizations that represent the needs of businesses all over. So these are all examples of different organizations. And your small business that you're producing a marketing plan for can be a for-profit organization driving revenue for its stakeholders, a non-profit organization that is providing a service or a need to individuals without profit, government agency, or even an industry organization that provides to many businesses or individuals. So an industry is usually structured by its offerings. It starts with your offerings or services. Then it's broken out for profit or nonprofit. Now, your goals for a profit organization are sales, market share, and profits for its stakeholders. Now, when I say stakeholders, I'm talking about the individuals that have stake in the company's success, not shareholders particularly, but stakeholders, meaning individuals, employees. It could be, bosses. It could be employees. It could be investors, or it could be other organizations that have an interest in that company. Nonprofit organizations also focus on goals, but focus on clients' satisfaction and efficiency. Now, a typical for-profit company or nonprofit company, usually a public organization, has a board of directors, and this board of directors helps determine what's at best for all the stakeholders. From there, we have a corporate level that is responsible for reporting to a board of directors, usually under all the business lines. Each business line serves a functional level, such as IT or informational systems, finance, research and development, marketing, manufacturing, operations, and human resources. Now, it's interesting to note that these departments are usually headed up by somebody at each level that reports into the corporate or C suite level. Today's organizational strategy and structure, you got to understand that you can't be all things to all people. So it's very important that when you're picking your company focus or your company strategy, that you take a look at the individual products and services that you're offering. Who are you here to service? What are your products and services used for? It's very important to be very focused on individuals and a certain segment of individuals, or a target primary group or a secondary group. Knowing the stakeholders with the individuals, you establish core values. These are the values that each one of your stakeholders must possess within your organization. This is amplified by your mission or your vision statement. And your mission statement should serve as your organization's North Star, meaning your guiding light. So every question that you have regarding your organization should be driven by your mission or your mission statement. In addition, this will help define your organizational culture. It's important to establish an organizational culture that can help your stakeholders succeed with their core values and uphold the mission or vision statement. So one of your goals in this first section is to develop a mission or vision statement that that describes your organization, that is your organization's North Star. So when we talk about organizational direction, the what do we do? What business are we really in? What are our goals and objectives? Are we, and this is our focus or our strategy portion of that paper. Are we in it for profit? Are we in it for sales, number of sales, or certain dollars amount? Or are we attacking for market share? Are our goal quality and customer satisfaction, employee welfare, social responsibility, efficiency? These goals or objective will help determine what organizational direction we take. Now, make sure when establishing your goals or your focus, you use what's called SMART goals. And I'd like to see this planned out in your focus statement or your goal statement in your paper. Are they specific? Are they specific goals, meaning using an actual quantifiable number or something that you can achieve? Don't use vague goals like to be the best to be the best. That's very vague. Specific goals are very specific. Measurable goals. Use numbers, quantifiable numbers. Are they attainable? Are they realistic? Often we use situational analyses to see how we stack up against our competition and to establish benchmarks. Are they relevant to our company's business? And are they time-based? Are you giving yourself time-based goals? These are what are referred to as SMART goals. Now, it's important to understand our company's competitive advantage. This is what makes us good at what we do. This is what sets us apart from everybody else. In addition, who are our customers? Who are our primary customers? Who are our secondary customers? If I had to paint a picture of our primary customer, what would they look like? Demographic-wise, gender-wise, age-wise. Where do they hang out? Where do they live? What interests them? What are their behaviors? These are all important things to understand as far as customers go. Understanding our competitors. Knowing who are we competing with. Are we competing with different companies? This is an example of Sears or Land End's competitors. Now, if you notice that each of these areas, they're not direct competitors, but they're indirect competitors. We have clothing catalog retailers that are competitors, department store competitors. We have mass merchandisers, internet retailers, clothes brands, as well as specialty shops. Because Land's End and Sears offer so many different products and so many different choices, they have a number of different competitors. Now, the BCG Matrix is understanding our business portfolio and the products that we have and where do we want to go. This graph, the BCG Matrix, shows a quadrant. Market growth rate is represented on the left, low versus high. In our high quadrant, we have those products that are growing, whereas our on the low end, these are more mature products that generally grow at a lower rate. On the horizontal axis, we have high and low of relative market share. High meaning that we have a tremendous amount of market share, whereas low, we don't have any market share or a very low market share. So if we take a look at the four quadrants, the upper left-hand corner, the stars, these are products that have high growth rate, that are still growing, and have a high market share. These are our stars. These are our star products. Whereas in the upper right, there we have a high market growth rate, but we have a very low market share, meaning that we have an opportunity to grow, but we don't have a high market share as of right now. In the bottom left, we have cash cows. These are our products that have that low growth rate, that are mature products, but they have a high market share. And then finally, on our right-hand quadrant are our dogs, meaning that they have a low market share and a low growth rate. These are the products that we're getting ready probably to get rid of. They've served their purpose and they aren't producing anymore. How does this relate to your products as a business? Well, let's take a look at Apple's products. We have the Apple Watch, the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad or iPad mini. So if we take a look at these four quadrants, can you place these four products in each BCG Matrix quadrant? Go ahead, I'll give you a few seconds to think about it. Well, if you place the iPhone in the stars quadrant, you're correct. The iPhone is a high growth, has a high growth rate, but also has a high market share. It's a very well-known brand. It's a very well-known product, and it has a high growth rate and high potential. Question marks, the Apple Watch has a high market growth rate, but a relatively small market share because of the newness of fitness watches. In the bottom left, our cash cows are our iPad. The iPad came out years ago, and it's one of Apple's best selling. It's got a low growth rate because iPads or tablets have been around, and sales are starting to slow down. But it has a high market share. It's the most popular tablet out. And then finally, the poor iPod. The iPod is our Apple's dog, meaning that it's still available, but it is very low growth rate and a very low market share. Now, where do we want to go? A lot of times we talk about diversification analysis. We want to either penetrate the market, develop the market, develop the product, or diversify. Let's think about this. So when we talk about our markets, whether they're current, and our products, and if they're current, we're usually talking about market penetration. Whereas if we're talking about new products and current markets, we're developing our breadth or our product development. In the bottom, new markets with our current products, this is market development. This is selling products or distributing products in new markets. And then finally, the lower right hand corner is new products in new markets. This is diversification, selling new products in new areas. So, as we take a look at the planning phase and section 1 of your paper, you'll notice that you're due a situational analysis, your focus or your goals as an organization, and then also your mission statement. So let's talk about a situational analysis, a SWOT analysis. This identifies the strengths and weaknesses of a company internally and the opportunities and threats for that company externally. So if we take a look at internal strengths and weaknesses for Ben & Jerry's, some of their strengths are prestigious, they're a prestigious, well-known brand. Some of their weaknesses are their social responsibility actions, inexperienced managers, and modest sales growth. Some opportunities and threats that externally are out there are a growing demand for quality ice cream in overseas markets, but some of their threats are their competition with General Mills and Nestle brands. When you produce your SWOT analysis for your section 1 of your paper, I'd like to see you develop a graph just like this with your strengths and weaknesses. Well, that's it for chapter 2 or week 2 of the course. Make sure that you complete your quiz and to contact me if you have any questions. Again, refer to this chapter as you're developing your section 1 paper. Good night and good luck.